Hello and welcome to Walker Tea Review. I'm Jason Walker, and every once in a while I step back from teas and I find something that is newer, something that's kind of cutting edge, something that's on the outskirts of what you find on through regular online tea shopping. And that's what I've got here with us today. This is actually a tea, and I'm going to go ahead and start preparing it and talk a little bit about it, because this is a tea that's being developed in Taiwan. It's not even, there are few or no farmers who are actually growing this tea. This is actually in development. Taiwan has a tea research facility that is actually growing these leaves, and so this is kind of this is a chance to kind of say you saw it here first. This is a black tea. It is their TRES.HongYun, which is a varietal number 21. So I'm getting out enough here to kind of coat the bottom of my tasting cup here. And I'm going to go ahead, let me set that aside so that I can talk a little bit about the dry leaf and talk a little bit more about and kind of give more of an introduction to this as well. So that gives us plenty there. Now, talking more about this tea, this is from the Tea Research and Extension Station in Taiwan. A little bit of background about the TRES. It was actually started by the Japanese during a period of occupation, and which the Japanese in particular wanted to develop an area where they could create or produce black teas to export back to the mainland or back to Japan. And in doing so, this was later taken over by the Taiwanese government and became a tea research facility. This tea is as I was saying, is number 21. If you're familiar with tea varietals coming from Taiwan, this one is number 21. It's being called the TRES.HongYun tea varietal. Yeah, that's the Mandarin pronunciation of it. What else can I tell you about? It's developed from a Chiman or a Keman black tea from mainland China. Part of that with an Indian, and if I understand correctly, an Assamica tea plant. So those two created the hybrid that we have here. And there is also, I should mention also, there's a number 18, I believe. There's the Hongyu, which is red jade. So one thing that if you are looking at teas, something to kind of look to see, does this compare to current black tea varietals coming from Taiwan? Let's go ahead and pour this while it's before it oversteeps, goes too far. I'm going to talk a little bit about the dry leaf in just a moment here. That looks good. That was just kind of a display or an example of how you pour into, or with a taste, or use a tasting set like this. Let me also kind of pour into the pitcher here so we can all look at it together. There we are. We'll come back and pour it back in to taste. But first, let's kind of talk a little bit about this dry leaf for a moment. Smells. You are getting a sweet, dry plum kind of smell, combined with something says roasted sweet potato to me. Maybe it's just too close to Thanksgiving, but those are the smells, the dominant smells that are coming off to me at this point. You've got dark seal brown, grayish brown color dry leaves here. I'm actually getting a variety of sizes, so not necessarily full leaf size in all cases. They look like they've been wrapped lengthwise along the middle vein of the leaf, and at this point, not really much more to investigate on the dry leaf itself. One thing we want to look at is kind of thickness of the leaf, and that's something we can look at as we look at the wet leaf. So let's go ahead and move on and really talk more about the wet leaf here. seal that up, protect that, keep it as fresh as possible. Let's talk a little bit about wet leaf. In our wet leaf here, I'm going to give this a shake. Well, I'm going to give it a smell first before I forget. Nice, rich black tea type of smells. Getting a little bit of kind of a menthol effervescent type smell coming off. It's got some rich kind of peach juice type notes in there as well. You're getting a variety of sizes here. Some of the kind of olive drab in color, some of the richer, more rust color. Leaves. Here's a leaf I just grabbed here. Feeling a little thinner. What else? Yeah, pretty light, pretty thin, fairly delicate. Here's a whole leaf that's actually opening up completely. Not a rich, not a deep red of oxidation coming across, just at least in this leaf, more oxidation, more reddish rust color on the very edge of the leaf. But again, not a very thick, leathery leaf either. Move that back there. And let's pour for a moment here and give this a try. See, we got a nice kind of amber reddish color. Still some of that roasted sweet potato smell coming off. A little bit of that cooling, effervescent type menthol aspect, wintergreen aspect. In the front, that said, it's quite smooth. It's kind of chocolate syrupy type texture, not necessarily with some sweetness. So think about some peach juice type sweetness in there, especially building up on the back of the mouth. Briskness is quite low, not overly astringent. What you're left with is this peachy, chocolate-covered peach sweetness that just builds. It just sticks to the back of your mouth, the upper throat, back of the mouth. It's actually sustained quite well. I mean, it's still lingering there, and it continues to linger. So this is the kind of tea, I'm not going to give it a score, but this is the kind of tea that has potential, that's something I'm going to look forward to when it is commercially available. You could probably see this also in blends, although a master tea craftsman is going to create a nice, specialty tea loose leaf with this as well. So come back and join us on Walker Tea Review, where you can see new teas, see some of the glimpse of the future of tea as well.